Welcome to Zoe Stories. I thought it was a prank. Now I'm living as her BFF. I never thought a prank would change my life. I used to laugh at people who believed one silly mistake could rewrite their entire identity. Now I wake up each morning in a room that smells like perfume and lotion, surrounded by pastel pink curtains and a vanity covered in makeup I can name by brand and shade. My name is Tyler Adams, or at least it was. These days, I answer more naturally to Tia. But I didn't start out this way. Back then, I was just your average college guy, quiet, neat, a little on the nerdy side. I studied computer science and freelanced as a video editor. Not the most glamorous job, but it gave me time to breathe, to hide in the safety of my routines. I had a small apartment, stacks of anime figurines, and a secret folder on my laptop labeled "Do Not Open." That folder held a side of me I couldn't show anyone. Not my friends. Not my parents. Not even my girlfriend, Isabella. Isabella was everything I wasn't: bold, unpredictable, beautiful. She was the kind of girl who walked into a room and drew attention without trying. I still don't understand what she saw in me, honestly. Maybe she liked the quiet ones. Or maybe she liked having a puzzle to solve. We'd been dating for just over a year. Things were stable, maybe too stable. We didn't fight often, but we weren't exactly setting the world on fire, either. She'd occasionally complain that I was too private, that I didn't open up about myself enough. I always brushed her off with a joke. I figured the less she knew, the safer I was. But secrets have a way of bubbling up, especially when you're not careful. It started with a lazy Saturday at Isabella's place. She'd gone out for brunch with her friend Sasha, and I stayed back, curled up on her couch watching dumb TikToks and eating leftover pizza. When I got bored, I started organizing her closet. That's how my brain works. I clean things when I'm anxious. And that morning, for reasons I couldn't explain, I was jittery. That's when I saw it, the pink hoodie. It was soft, oversized, and smelled faintly of vanilla. I knew I shouldn't. I knew it was a terrible idea. But my fingers moved before my brain could catch up. In less than a minute, I was pulling it over my head, letting it settle over my frame like a second skin. Then I noticed the lipstick on the vanity. Then the heels by the bed. Then the little devil in my mind whispered, just for fun, "It's not like anyone will see." I didn't realize then that Isabella had left her webcam recording, or that her brunch had been canceled. I didn't hear the soft click of the apartment door as she returned. I didn't see her until I was standing full length in the mirror. Hoodie, skirt, smeared lipstick, one heel on, heart pounding like a war drum. "Tyler," she said behind me. I froze. She didn't scream. She didn't laugh. She didn't even sound mad. Just surprised. And maybe a little curious. I spun around, stammering, panicking, trying to come up with some ridiculous excuse. Halloween, a dare, anything. But Isabella's expression shifted. Her lips twitched, not in amusement, but calculation. She tilted her head and said something that chilled me far more than anger ever could. "You know what? Let's see where this goes." That was the moment it began. The moment a prank, or what I thought was a prank, became something much, much bigger. Something twisted and thrilling and impossible to escape. In the days that followed, Isabella's behavior changed. She didn't ask questions, not directly. Instead, she started joking more often, offering to do my makeup just for laughs, buying me little gifts she claimed were for her roommate but obviously weren't. I should have shut it down. I should have told her the truth, that crossdressing wasn't a joke for me, that it was something buried deep inside, something I didn't understand but couldn't ignore. But I didn't. Instead, I played along. I smiled when she teased me, laughed when she called me Tia, and let her think she was in control of the game. But I didn't realize she was. Isabella had a plan, a twisted little experiment of her own. And I was her willing subject. That's how I ended up here, sitting cross-legged on a pink beanbag, sipping iced coffee through a straw, and practicing my voice for tonight's girls' night with Sasha. Somewhere along the way, the prank became real. Somewhere along the way, Tyler started fading, and Tia began to bloom. And now, I don't know who I am anymore. But maybe Isabella does. I told myself it was a one-time thing. After Isabella caught me, I thought we'd never talk about it again. That she'd give me space. That she'd forget. But Isabella didn't forget. She watched, observed, measured every twitch of my fingers when I saw a pair of heels, noticed how I hesitated near her vanity mirror, clocked the way I looked at her skirts. She didn't push, not right away. But her smile changed. A quiet, knowing smile. The kind someone gives when they know your secret and are waiting for you to say it out loud. And then she set the trap. One afternoon, she texted me while I was editing video at her place. Isabella. OMG. Sasha's gonna love you. Tia is coming to brunch. My stomach twisted. My fingers trembled over the keyboard. I responded. Me. Wait, what? Isabella, relax. It's just us girls. Think of it as a dress rehearsal. Me. I'm not. I was just messing around that one time. Isabella, you're so cute when you lie. Then came the follow-up image. A pink floral sundress, white heels, a silver necklace shaped like a butterfly, all laid out on the bed, waiting for me like a dare. She knew exactly what she was doing. The room was quiet. I could hear my own breathing. In that stillness, I stared at the outfit. My heart thudded against my ribs like it wanted out. I could walk away, tell her it was too far, but my feet were already moving. I closed the blinds, drew the curtains, and peeled off my jeans. The fabric of the sundress slid across my skin like water, soft, airy, impossibly delicate. I stepped into the heels, legs trembling slightly. I caught my reflection in the mirror. No makeup, short hair, but there was something there. A girl trying to be seen. I sat at the vanity, unsure what to do. But Isabella had already thought of everything. A printed guide lay next to her makeup case. Beginner girl mode, Tia's first time. My cheeks burned, but I followed the steps. Primer, concealer, blush, lip gloss, mascara. I fumbled through it all, laughing at my mistakes, gasping at the transformation. When I finally finished, I didn't look like Isabella, but I didn't look like Tyler either. I looked like someone new.
My phone buzzed again.
Isabella, Sasha's running late. I'll be home in 30. Show me the new you. Panic set in. I had time to change, to wipe off the makeup, to pretend it never happened. But I didn't. I stayed in the outfit, heels and all, and waited. Isabella came through the door carrying iced coffee and bags of makeup. Whoa, she said, stepping inside. Tia, is that you? I blushed, staring at the floor. This was just to prove a point, that I'm not afraid. She walked over slowly, set the coffee down, and tilted my chin up with her finger. Well, you should be afraid, she said, because you're kind of gorgeous. I couldn't breathe. Sit, she said, pushing me gently into the chair. You need eyeliner, and lip liner, and lashes. I thought Sasha was coming. She is, Isabella said. And she already knows. My stomach dropped. She knows about this? She's known since you tried on my hoodie. I showed her the clip. You recorded me? Isabella smiled. Tyler, sweetie, it was adorable. She's excited to meet my new BFF. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in Isabella's bed, mascara stains on my cheeks, the dress draped on the chair like a witness. My heart warred between shame and something else, longing. Because the truth was, for the first time in years, I felt alive. Every movement, every brushstroke of makeup, every click of my heels made me feel seen. Not just by Isabella, but by myself. Still, I was scared. Scared of what this meant. Scared of what people would think. Scared of losing control. But that was the start. And Isabella wasn't done. The next few weeks felt like a dream I wasn't sure I wanted to wake up from. Isabella kept inviting me over for girl time. Each time, she'd add another element, tighter skirts, higher heels, deeper lipstick shades. I told myself it was all a game, that I could stop whenever I wanted. But then she started calling me Tia, all the time. In public. In text. Even in front of Sasha. The first time Sasha saw me dressed up, she squealed with delight. You're so much cuter than Isabella described. I'm not, this isn't, I stammered, voice cracking. But she was already pulling me in for a hug, spraying her perfume on my neck. You're totally coming to girls' night next week. Isabella watched, amused. I was flustered, but deep down, I liked it. The acceptance, the attention, the feeling of being one of them. Until the day it went too far. Isabella called me one morning.
Hey.
I left a surprise for you in my apartment. I arrived and found a blonde wig, perfectly styled, resting on a mannequin head beside a set of fake nails and a new dress. There was a note. Today's challenge, go full girl mode. Nails.
Wig.
Outfit. Then FaceTime me. Love. I should have walked away. Instead, I sat down, glued on the nails, clipped the wig over my short hair, and stepped into the dress. It was shorter than anything I'd worn so far.
Tighter.
More feminine. I looked in the mirror and saw her.
Tia.
I FaceTimed Isabella. She gasped. You're so pretty, babe. You have to walk to the mirror and show me the heels. I'm not going out in this. I laughed nervously. Not yet, she said. But maybe soon. That night, as I cleaned up, the door creaked open. I froze. I knew I'd locked it. Footsteps echoed down the hallway. I panicked, scrambling toward the bathroom, slipping on the heels. Isabella? I called. No answer. Then a knock at the door. I yanked it open and found her brother, Jason, standing there with a confused look. Whoa, sorry, is Isabella here? He blinked at me, eyes traveling from my wig to my heels. I was just... Jason smiled. No judgment. Isabella told me you were experimenting. She said you might answer the door as, Tia? I nearly fainted. After he left, I sat on the floor, legs shaking, heart pounding. It was too much. The thrill, the fear, the constant risk of being seen, but also the weird relief. Every time someone discovered Tia, they didn't scream. They didn't laugh. They accepted her. Was this who I was now? And more importantly, was Isabella turning me into her new best friend? Or something else entirely? Because one night, as we painted each other's nails and watched rom-coms, she leaned over and said something I'll never forget. You know, I never needed a boyfriend, she whispered. I turned to her, confused. She smiled. I needed a best friend. A partner in crime. Someone who'd understand me. Someone I could make beautiful. And then she kissed my cheek. I think you were always meant to be Tia. 2 weeks passed since Jason saw me dressed up. Isabella pretended like nothing had changed. If anything, she seemed happier. More confident. More in control.
Me?
I felt like I was balancing on a razor's edge. I didn't know who I was anymore when I looked in the mirror. Sometimes I'd wake up and go straight to the vanity without thinking, touching up lip gloss as if it were second nature. I no longer had to be coaxed into heels. Sometimes I reached for them on my own. But deep down, something twisted and terrifying bubbled inside me, a voice that whispered, "This isn't pretend anymore." Isabella noticed the shift. "You okay?" she asked one night as we removed each other's nail polish. I nodded, but she wasn't convinced. "You don't have to be scared, you know," she said. "People like you more when you're you." "I don't even know who me is," I whispered. Isabella paused. Then she reached into her drawer and pulled out something small. A silver charm bracelet. "It's yours," she said softly. I had it engraved. I read the tiny letters.
Tia.
My throat tightened. I can't take this." "You already have," she said. "You just haven't accepted it yet." The next day was supposed to be simple. Isabella had invited Sasha and a few other friends over for a casual girls' night. Just makeup, gossip, and movies. But she had a plan. When I arrived, the door was already open. On the table sat a glittery name tag. "Hi, my name is Tia." Next to it, a bag. Inside the bag, a wig cap, double-sided tape, a padded bra, a crop top, a plaid skirt, and thigh-high socks. She wasn't just pushing me into girl mode anymore. She wanted everyone to see me that way. I stood in front of the mirror again, breathing hard. If I went out there as Tyler, they'd laugh. If I went out there as Tia, they'd judge. But there was something worse than all of that. The idea that I'd never know what it felt like to be seen as Tia and accepted. So I got dressed. The transformation was quick, almost automatic now. Wig in place, lashes glued, lipstick smudged perfectly. My nails were still French-tipped from the last session. When I stepped into the living room, all conversation stopped.
Tia.
Sasha squealed. Oh my God, you look incredible. A few others gasped. In surprise, sure. But not horror. Not disgust.
Excitement.
I smiled weakly. Thanks. Isabella floated to my side and laced her arm through mine. Tia's not just my bestie, she said proudly. She's our new queen bee. Everyone cheered. Except one person. Rachel. Isabella's ex-roommate. Cold, tall, and sharp-tongued. She narrowed her eyes and muttered, "Isn't this, like, a little too real?" Isabella stiffened beside me. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice a little too sweet. Rachel raised an eyebrow. "I mean, when does a prank stop being funny and start being delusional?" Silence. My pulse thundered. "Tyler, right?" Rachel said, turning to me. "That's your name. Or are we just pretending this is normal now?" The room went quiet. I felt like my skin had been peeled off. My eyes darted to Isabella. She looked furious. Sasha looked stunned. Everyone else shifted uncomfortably. But Rachel wasn't done. "Isabella, are you seriously replacing your boyfriend with your bestie in a skirt?" The words sliced through the air. I turned on my heel and bolted into the bathroom, slamming the door shut. My hands trembled as I stared into the mirror. Lipstick cracking. Eyes wet. She was right. Wasn't she? Was this just pretend? "Open the door." Isabella's voice came through, soft and insistent. I didn't move. "Tia, please." I opened it just a crack. She slipped inside and shut it behind her. Her eyes locked on mine.
She didn't speak.
Instead, she walked over, placed the bracelet around my wrist, and clicked it shut. "You're real," she whispered. "And if you don't believe that, then believe me." The girls' night didn't end in disaster. Not exactly. Rachel left early, muttering under her breath. The others stayed. They helped me redo my makeup. They complimented my confidence. They laughed and toasted and cheered when I dared to do a TikTok dance in heels. But the mask had cracked, and something else was about to break. The next day, Isabella surprised me again. "We're going shopping." "I'm not ready." "Yes, you are," she said, tossing me a long black wig and a pair of sunglasses. "I can't go out like this." "You already are like this." I hesitated. Then, I followed her. The mall was packed. Every noise, every whisper felt directed at me. I clung to Isabella's side like a shadow. "You're fine," she whispered. "They're not staring." "They are." We stepped into a boutique. The woman at the counter smiled at me. "What size are you, hon?" I blinked. She's a medium," Isabella said, taking control. Something flirty, but modest. It's her first real girls' trip. The woman nodded and pulled out a few dresses. I wanted to melt, but when I tried on a sky blue sundress, looked at myself in the mirror, I smiled. Tia wasn't perfect, but she was real. More real than Tyler had ever felt. Until I heard the voice behind me. "Tyler?" I turned slowly. It was Jamie, my coworker, the guy I edited video with, the guy who knew me as nothing more than a shy, techie dude with zero social life. He stared. I froze. "Tyler?" he asked again, louder this time. Isabella stepped in. "Actually, it's Tia." He blinked. "What the hell?" I was just... You lied to everyone, dude. What is this?" My breath caught. I felt the walls closing in. But Isabella stepped forward and said, "It's none of your business." "She's my coworker," Jamie snapped. "She's my best friend," Isabella said, loud and clear. Jamie stared at me for a long time. Then, to my shock, he shrugged. "Okay, whatever. I just needed that file by Friday." He turned and walked out. Back at home, I collapsed onto the couch, exhausted. Isabella curled up next to me. I told you the world wouldn't end, she whispered. I thought it would. She brushed a strand of wig hair out of my face. I think I'm falling for you, I whispered. She smiled. You always were worth falling for. I smiled back. My fingers traced the charm bracelet. Tia was no longer just a disguise. She was me, but just when I thought I'd found peace. The front door opened again, and my sister walked in. The door creaked open. I turned, heart hammering, fingers clutching the charm bracelet on my wrist. Isabella sat up quickly beside me. And there she was, Amanda, my older sister. What the hell is going on here? She asked, stepping into the room with sharp eyes and crossed arms. Her gaze flicked from Isabella to me, to the dress I was wearing, to the wig on my head. The silence was deafening. Amanda, I didn't know you were back in town, I stammered. Clearly, she said, eyes narrowing. So, are you going to tell me why you're dressed like someone I don't even recognize? Or do I need to start asking louder? Isabella stood, cool and composed. Amanda, maybe now isn't the time. No, I think now is exactly the time, she snapped, walking toward me. Tyler, what is this? A game? Are you in trouble? Did Isabella put you up to this? My cheeks burned. I couldn't speak. The words were there, but they stuck behind the knot in my throat. Amanda softened just slightly. You can tell me. You're my brother. I'll understand. The word brother hit harder than a slap. I looked down at myself, the sky blue dress, the sparkly pink nails, the butterfly bracelet. Tia wasn't some temporary phase anymore. She was growing, living, breathing. And right now, she was terrified. Isabella gently reached for my hand, squeezing it. I began, forcing the air into my lungs. It's not what you think. Or maybe it is. I don't even know anymore. Amanda's eyes widened. Wait, you're serious about this? I nodded slowly. Her face contorted with confusion. Since when? You never said anything. Never acted like. Because I was scared. I cut in, voice trembling. Because I didn't know if I could say it. Because I didn't know if it was real until it was. The room was heavy with tension. I felt like I'd been cracked open, vulnerable and exposed. Amanda crossed her arms again, but this time, it wasn't anger in her face. It was something else. Worry? Disbelief? She sat down across from me. You're really telling me that this, Tia, is who you are now? I swallowed hard. I don't know who I am. I just know that when I'm her, I feel something I never felt before. Amanda said nothing for a long time. Then she stood up slowly and walked to the door. I need time to process, she said. But don't lie to me again. I'm your sister. And then she left.
Just like that.
I collapsed back on the couch, mascara blurring as tears welled up. Isabella sat beside me, wrapping an arm around my shoulder. That could have gone worse, she whispered with a small smile. I laughed through the tears. She might tell everyone.
Then we'll deal with that, she said.
Together. I looked at her. Really looked. She didn't seem like my girlfriend anymore. She seemed like something more. A friend.
A guide.
A mirror. Someone who saw me, the real me before I did. Later that night, I stood in front of the mirror alone. I took off the wig, unpinned the dress, removed the fake lashes. But I didn't feel like Tyler anymore. I felt like someone between worlds. One foot still in the closet, the other in stilettos. I picked up the charm bracelet again and stared at the engraving.
Tia.
My fingers trembled. The doorbell rang. I jumped. Isabella was asleep in her room. Another ring. Louder this time. I walked to the door, peeking through the peephole. My mother was standing outside, holding a suitcase.